You don't have to be any more than you already are to be important and to matter. Nielsen knows that you matter. Your opinion matters. And if you're ever asked to participate in any study or survey, we so need you. So please say yes. Yes? Yes?
My play mother was the caterer, and she went up to prepare the place and get everything ready. And she got to know Sydney and some of the other guys who were hanging. And then I went up and did what I had to do to get ready. And then the night of the event, I was there with all of the women who were the contestants, et cetera, et cetera. And Sidney Williams, my husband, who was there at the time, had just moved to Los Angeles. He'd been a professional football player, et cetera. Asked my caterer, my play mother, about me. She told him all the wonderful things about her. And the night of the event, I accidentally left my scarf up at that house. My firm was right down the hill on Beverly, and so I asked the ambassador if he could bring it down. He did, and then we had dinner. And the rest is history.
So I stayed there. I lived in that cafe writing, and he was in that cafe. And in fact, it was his friend who told him, oh, this girl's always in here. She's cute. She likes the long curly hair. And my husband really, that wasn't his type. So, you know, okay, whatever. Anyway, when he claims he came over to because his friend was a little too shy to meet me, he came over to get the, you know, be the wingman, I guess. Well, we met briefly. This is all gonna be in the show, but much nicer. We met briefly, and a year later, so we had this little moment, I remember it, but a year later, I now have a job. I think I've decided I'm not doing the monogamous dating thing anymore. I'm trying to date. And I had 3 guys and it's starting to wear me out. Long story short, we're passing each other on Melrose Avenue. He circles back, and my hair is cut short like Halle Berry short. And that's what impressed him. Because light skin, long curly hair, cut her hair. I snuck out of work, something I would have never, even to this day, I think, that is not me. Work was my main. Like, I know how to do school, I know how to do work. I would never skip out on work. I snuck out of a taping to go to this, concert, and 21 years later, we met on MLK weekend too, by the way.
Look at all this broke black.
Yeah. 21 years later, we have been married, 2 kids, building a television legacy.
So I just wanted to start there because I did think it felt very girlfriendly.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it was fun, but I also think it's important for us to have a little levity. Black women, we work hard. There's a reason why Zora Neale Hurston says we are the mules of the world. And I think that with that, we have to ensure that we take time, not just for love, for friends, for self-care, but we also take time to do things like this, and we're in a strategy meeting, basically. And the community's leaning on us, like always, to come up with solutions for how we move forward. So one thing, and I'm going to come back to you, Mara, you've used your media platform very effectively to tell Black stories our way. And you were doing it before there was the popularity of Black Panther or Girls Trip, where they saw the revenue generating, right? So I want to know what drives that for you, and why will you continue to do that, given all that you've seen in Hollywood? You know that you can take shortcuts and kind of cheapen our content. But what is your motivating factor to ensure that that's always what is driving you, that you're telling positive Black stories?
You know, I love myself. I love my people. I love my community. I I grew up on Windsor Hills. I grew up on Slauson and Overhill. And I was born into the Nation of Islam. I lived in Compton a little bit, Gardena. All I remember was happy times. All up in Baldwin Vista, my grandmother was 3 doors down from Roxy Roker, and then I was like, that was very normal for me. Our normalcy, our beauty, our mix of struggle and celebration, it was all very present and very real. There was no separation of that. And I just was adamant about, and I'm stubborn. I realized that. And I want to do it my way. And I accepted my gift early on, and I think that's something I would really love to talk about today, is I accepted it very early on. And I've recently accepted, you asked how did I do it, because I've also accepted that I'm a visionary. And I saw it a long time ago. And I think the pillars in my life, my mother, my grandmother, my Aunt Beretta, they are my foundation and instilled that in me, and then the community kept feeding that to me. So I think my upbringing, my acceptance of my gift, and following my vision. Our company actually believes that one vision, many voices. And so today, when you're seeing Black Lightning, I'm a loud voice, but it's not mine, it's Celine's vision. Talking about strategy, it was important to me that you're just now seeing a Black man helm his own show, talking about a Black family, and that's revolutionary in television. Yes. Black women we've had a hard time, but we've had a little bit more of a seat at the table. I think there's a politicalness to that. However, the strategy of people seeing Celine has been a journey. And I'm so thankful that they got to see how brilliant he is with all of its vision, all of its planning, and all of its belief and faith.
And Congresswoman Waters, you've also used your platform to uplift the community, to ensure that we're constantly seen in spite of the many trade-offs you could have made. I know that the millennials in the room think that you all discovered Congresswoman Waters. She's been doing this. She's been doing this. Yeah, Beyonce said, I woke up like this, so did Congresswoman Waters. So I do want to talk about how you woke up like this. How did you decide that policy making would be first about making sure that Black folks are seen, we're heard, and we're able to do better, we're able to pursue the American dream, whatever that is?
I'm oftentimes asked a question similar to what you just asked me. And, when I reflect on my life, I do not know all of the influences. And even at this point in time, I cannot identify everything that made me who I am, except I know a few things. I came from a huge family. I came from a family where mother had been married a couple of times, had 2 sets of children, I had 12 brothers and sisters. And so it was a very competitive environment, but a very strong mother. Mother that was absent, stepfather that was there from time to time, but didn't have any great relationship with the stepfather. And my mother was always my single focus. That person that I heard, that person that I paid attention to, that person that I just loved. And she was a very strong woman. She was not an educated woman, but she was a determined woman. She was a woman who made things happen. And she never saw herself as a victim as such. She just would say, whatever you don't have, you're going to make do. You're going to live with it, and this is what we're going to do. And so she taught us a lot of things to do. And even today, in an industry where, we rely on a lot of folks, I can do everything that's related to my career, to the business that I'm in. I can write, I can design literature, I can raise money, I can organize, and the reason that I'm able to do it, and I'm not bragging about it, is because that's what my mother taught me. You do not go around suffering and talk about, oh my God, I don't have anybody to do this. Well, where's somebody to help me? Of course, we need help, and we need those who can be a part of what you're doing, but I have this independence. that guides me all the time. And I think about how to make things better. I think about how to do things differently. And of course, in all of this, somehow the people around me, including many of the teachers that I had in the grade school and in the high school, were very supportive. And they taught me, in addition to this kind of independence that I have, to be responsible and to not only care about yourself, but the people around you, that you have a responsibility to make sure if someone next to you is hungry and they don't have anything, you're supposed to share with them, you're supposed to give. You're supposed to be about not only, again, yourself, but others. And so, it has given me the opportunity to speak truth to power. And I just have never been intimidated by anything or anybody. And I've never been in awe of anything. You get into this business and you're on Cornell's, you're going all over the world, you're meeting with the kings, and so what? It's another person, right? And so that gives me the kind of freedom to not be intimidated and to be able to speak what's on my mind. And there comes a point in time, even when I try to hold myself back, and time where I have to let it go. And that's what happened with this president. And so somebody said to me, you can't say that, that's the president of the United States. That's just another con man down the street. Throughout my education, I've had the opportunity to have a voice. And I've had those people who've been very supportive. And of course, you must know, I get a lot of criticism. I always have. But what do they say?
Did you just Jay-Z? Did she just Jay-Z? Dirt on the shoulder. Oh, no, you just said kids have like a freshness about them.
Yes.
And again, I know millennials believe they discovered you, but there is this very natural, organic connection with you and millennials. Every group of young people she's ever touched. I had the great opportunity of interning with this lovely woman. And I would love for you to talk a little bit to this room, because we do have some elders, some young folks, some folks in between, but why is that intergenerational connection so important in our communities and families?
Very important to listen to young people. Not only because you see things in them that helps you to grow and develop, but because most young people know that we really don't pay attention to them. Most young people understand that they're talking at you and you're shaking your head and you're saying all the things that even sometimes mothers and aunts and others should say. But I have always wanted to have young people know that I'm talking to them and that I'm listening to them and I'm paying attention to them and I'm taking advice from them. I got involved very early in support of the hip-hop movement and in rap. And at the height of gangster rap. And so I was trying to explain to other people my age that these are my children. They're creative. Don't pay attention to some of the words. You don't have to listen to that. But this genre of music is absolutely going someplace. And so I had to come up against C.D. Lewis Tucker, who, wanted to censor, all of rap music. And so I had to go in and tell about Tupac and his mama, okay? And
She's
so,
serious, that's her favorite
this is
rapper.
serious stuff. And so I interacted a lot with these creative young artists. And you can see how it has evolved. And I knew Queen Latifah when she didn't even know herself. And look how she has evolved. Wow. And I could name any number of them. And so I've always had this respect for young people. And again, going backwards, I was early on in the Head Start program, where we developed young preschool children. And it was the war on poverty. And this excited me so much that we would have a program where we could give this opportunity to families that otherwise would not have the money to afford sending their kids to preschool. And so, I mean, that changed my life. That was a defining moment in my life. The time that I spent in Head Start, working with the families, and it increased my organizing ability. Working with the children and their families, I started to work with the families, helping them to understand that they could determine their children's educational destiny. And telling them it was about not only coming to the school and participating and creating the kinds of activities that would help them to understand that they have a lot to give, even though a lot of people had them thinking, you know, you don't know very much. You can't teach a child very much. Somebody else can, but we all can. And this is what we were able to do in Head Start. And learning to respect them. Just learning things like whatever your child brings on, whatever picture they draw, you put it on the wall, in the living room, and you tell them that the best picture you've ever seen, and you build confidence in children. And so I've always had this respect for young people, for little children, on up through, you know, like I said, the time that I spent, you know, working with the So this has been my life until I allowed myself to go to Congress. And so I stuck with it, and now I'm the ranking member of the Financial Services Committee. All of the banks, and also in all of that. But here's what happened. When this new president came along, and I was so appalled during the campaign about the way that he conducted himself. I could not be quiet. I could not be careful. I could not worry whether the bankers on Wall Street or whether the hedge fund guys or the private equity guys were going to see me differently if I did what I used to do. So I decided I'm out of the box. I'm out of here. I'm going to do what I used to do. And I'm going to tell the truth about what I see. And that's what excited the millennials. Because here's what I think, Angela, and I'm not so sure. Many of our millennials have been taught, you get educated, you conduct yourself the way that adults would have you conduct yourself. You get a job. Don't make a fuss on the job. Be nice. Don't say everything that may be on your mind. You get up every day, you be on time, you dress well, you look nice, and you use the King's English, and you're going to go far. They didn't tell you that you weren't going to get that promotion that you deserve, and that you were going to have to fight for. And so, many of the millennials see what I do as really speaking truth to power. They had not heard it before. They had not heard a member of Congress basically take on the President of the United States of America. I'm Auntie Maxine. It's okay. I'm your aunt. Everybody's aunt.
One, I want to mark our progress because, and more, I know my grandmother's generation. My grandmother's 96. They don't want to share the stories.
That part.
They don't want to talk about the pain. It's very difficult to relive that. And the progress in this is that time, and there's been, so the next generation was kind of in limbo. We did what we were told to do. You don't ask. And so you don't know. I was 12 years old. This is how trained I was. I was 12 years old when I found out that my grandfather's name was John, because everybody called him Tex. You just never questioned anything. I didn't know what the man's name was, granddaddy or Tex. But my point is, we stayed in our place. That's my generation. But this millennial generation, to your point, who knows they've been lied to, it's a bunch of lies. The progress is now, I want to ask. I want to know the stories. I want to know, and I think times are changing so rapidly, it might feel freer to share those stories. It might feel safer to tell those stories. That's that's one thing I want to say, that there's progress, and I want to applaud that, because that means we have gone through a lot. We're one generation up out of Jim Crow. We have gone through a lot, and we still are, obviously. But we have progressed to the place where it's time to talk. And I was said to my second point. That is so funny. So much of our life is talking, oh, let's get that. If I just get the money, I'll feel better. Oh, then you get some money, like, oh shoot, now I need some time, and I'll feel better. But information saves time and money. And if the generations start talking and sharing and listening and learning from each other, you can save this current generation, anybody still living, and certainly our newest generation who's marching on the streets on a Saturday, not thinking about video games and whatnot. They're marching and organizing for change. They need information. They need information to move things forward. And I feel like we need to share that more and more while we have each other still. Last thing I want to say from one of the oldest forms of entertainment is storytelling. Sitting around and how you live on. My child one day, this is when our brothers and sisters were getting murdered, it seemed like back to back. I remember it was in July, last July. Oh gosh, their names, God forgive me. The two brothers, they were black, Philando, and all, it was really back to back. I remember this. And I passed my kid's room, and he was just sort of standing in there. And our house they know you are like both of you are celebrities in the house because y'all are on the TV all the time. And they see everything, and we talk about it. We talk about their safety. We, as parents, have to teach our young black boys about who they are going to these all-white privileged environment. We're talking about it all, and I passed by the room. My child was just sort of standing there, and thank God I was present that day. And I was like, what's wrong? And I realized we're talking about death. We're talking about black boys getting killed. And of course, in one awareness we had it, but really the conversation got down to death. And I prayed real quick, God, speak, because I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this. I was trying to do some laundry. And I go back to stories, and something came out of my mouth that I did not put there. I know God put there. And I told him, I said, Nasir, we are going to die. We're all going to die. And what you hear is that we're just trying to fight, create policy, create change so you have a better, healthier opportunity to live longer. But the way that you live beyond this moment is to make memories. When I die, I'm going to live with the memories. So it's time to tell our stories. It's time to tell the truth. And I say this to women. I think we are one of the, especially black women, we have to be so much superwoman. We have to be so much. We do not share the truth. We live, die, and choke on our lives, on the things we don't want to share because we don't want to look less than superwoman. We are not superwoman.
Yes, we are.
We can do super things. We can be empowered. We can do that, but we are human and we have flaws. And one of my advocacies for my work and for my storytelling is to create space for our flaws and for our vulnerabilities and for all the things that we are. Because if we share that with other women in our own generation, in the next generation, and be truthful to the children who are coming, we will help them much better than and thus help ourselves, freeing ourselves of the stories and the pain that we have, and teaching them how to go around it, and sharing it with our sons.
But we can live our stories. And let me tell you this, and Angela perhaps didn't, but I know she didn't always going to say it, but her parents are activists. Her daddy is the kind of father who instilled in this young lady activism and caring about others, being able to speak up and to use her talents on behalf of our communities. That's who she is. And let me say this to each of us. Let's be honest enough to show ourselves to our children. I talk to children and young people every day who really don't know a lot about their own parents. And they don't know a lot about how they live. I talk to teenagers in high school who don't know that mama and daddy having a hard time paying the rent. They don't know exactly what they do on their jobs. They don't know what it is they like or they would like to do if they had the opportunity. And so what I guess I'm saying is this. Reveal yourself to your children. Allow them to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And work on them together. And show them how they can be, the kind of individuals that I think we would all like to be. And I point Angela out because I always knew when Angela interned in my office, we were in Watts at the time. And so we had to go into the public housing. She'd come from Seattle. And I thought to myself, okay, keep her in the office. And she's right in there, comfortable, working, happy, doing her thing. But it really came because her parents revealed themselves, what they cared about, what they would like to instill in her, and that's who she is. So when you see her on CNN, and you see her talking differently than the other talking heads, who say nothing, come and just tell you another beautiful lie. Then you understand where she came from, who she is, her values. Yes. That's extremely important. And I say no matter what profession you're going in, you got to get grounded.
Yes.
And you've got to come to grips with who you are and what philosophy you have. If you don't do that, you're going to be had by everybody. And so I wanted to say that about you. And I thank you for being who you are. You talk about the millennials, but they love you. They love you. Speaking up.
I think it's really important based on the timing where we are in history. We know that we will commemorate Dr. King, the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination Wednesday. I think it is important, given what you just said about storytelling, given everything you just said about the importance of living out our truths in front of young people, we have not progressed nearly as far as we thought we did, and I wanted to kind of bridge this conversation you just brought up with storytelling. I think in part because we haven't been honest about our trajectory, our obstacles, and that kind of thing. There's a Eisenhower Foundation report that just came out studying the Kerner Commission. So 50 years ago, the Kerner Commission came out with a report to talk about the progress of Black people since the Chicago 1919 riots. Now, fast forward to now, this Eisenhower Foundation report says poverty rates are about the same. From an income gap level, that gap is about the same between Black folks and white folks. And in mass incarceration rates, way higher. And so the question with this powerful room of Black women, knowing that the charge is upon us, and we have a legacy to fulfill because he was not just a dreamer, but he really did see something better for us, Dr. King we're talking about. What is our path forward? Like, I hate for us to have a panel discussion and we don't have a call to action. What is our path forward? How will you carry out the dream? What do you implore all of us to do? And same thing with you. Same thing to you, Congresswoman Waters.
You know, I am very active in my art. And so I'm going to continue to do that, and there's a second step to that. And what I mean by that is what I meant by progress, I meant just the ability to talk, the ability to ask is something that we have progressed, and I would like for us to take advantage of it so that we can spring ahead to progress. And here's why I do know progress is happening. this term, representation matters, it does. The human spirit needs validation. For out of the womb, it comes from mommy, daddy, auntie, uncles, family, village, community, school, and then it translates to one of America's biggest exports, is our images and marketing and branding. And we are making inroads. I know I've been at Black on Purpose for my whole career. And I know, it's funny, sometimes you are measured your career by the hardware on your shelf. There's no Emmy on my shelf. There should be. However, I have to let that sign of progress, and I prayed and asked Allah, where is my hardware? And every moment of my day since that prayer, young millennial Black women come up to me and tell me how girlfriends changed them and created space for them and made them think about what they wanted to do, made them think about the kind of man they want. When you see Black Lightning every night, it is an active, purposeful illustration of our beauty, our strength, our weaknesses, our goals, our challenges, and we are trying to have a conversation and be inspiring because these seeds that are planted will grow and they will sprout at the time in which those numbers will change to the point of, sometimes you see a graph and you go, boop. I do believe with the plant of images in our children, in ourselves, we will, because I'm bold enough, free enough, empowered enough to recognize talent and use my platform, my moment, my credentials, my whatever, to bring and usher in that talent. And I implore, we can do that at any level. And so I think that I will continue. And I actually want to start making a whole shitload of money. Because money helps me helps to funnel the people who are doing the work. And so doing the work in other ways that we can support and elevate the things that I care about, which is education and children. I think you can change that group, I think, is through a generation of change. So that's how I plan to keep doing it.
Love it. Last thing, Cheryl. But you cannot, Cheryl, you can't interrupt the queen. Is my mic on, Cheryl? You can't interrupt the queen. Okay, she has the floor.
Yes, you can. You can interrupt me. But that's not going to stop me. So let me just say this. Of course, there has been progress in so many different ways. But the world changes. And so when you think about progress and you think about what gains we've made, also think about how the world has changed and how you have to keep up and how you have to keep working at it. I'm a public policy maker. That's what I do. And so I'm dealing with issues now that we didn't deal with a few years back. I talked about being a ranking member of the Financial Services Committee. I'm dealing with hedge funds. I'm dealing with all of the banks. I'm dealing with all of the oversight agencies of government that have to do with financial services. We're talking about the Treasury. We're talking about the SEC, the OCC, the FDIC. We're talking about agencies we were not involved with years back. And we didn't know what the ripoff was. I know now. And so I have to confront that. And so we have something called Dodd-Frank reforms. And it is a tremendous effort that was instituted in order to deal with what took place in this country starting in 2008 when so many people were foreclosed on and lost their homes, and you saw the communities deteriorate, et cetera, et cetera. And so my commitment to Martin Luther King, his work, his vision, his sacrifice, is to keep doing what needs to be done to make sure there is fairness and justice in this society, to make sure that people are not being taken advantage of, to make sure that the opportunities are opened up that were not there before. And if, in fact, we are moving and we were moving to the management and supervisory positions, now we got to go to the boardroom where the decisions are really made. And so we find out what's going sign on there, and then we have to create public policy that will help move the agenda. And so, again, sometimes this causes the kinds of confrontations that are not comfortable for people. There are some people, even in the room, who are working for banks and financial institutions that I'm after. I am not going to allow continuously certain banks to create accounts in people's names and we don't even know about it. I'm not going to continue to allow forced insurance when you're already paying insurance and the bank takes out another insurance policy and makes you pay extra. I'm not going to sit still for that. And so, if you are in one of the banks that I have targeted, that I'm going to break up, I want you to start looking for another job.